Hey, welcome in. It's Greg from Mighty Studios. We're kicking off a brand new project. This one, a miniature reproduction of the 1980s electronic board game, Dark Tower.
Last night I journeyed backwards in time to the medieval world of Dark Tower. In this amazing game, I had to find 3 keys, lay siege to the tower, and defeat the enemy within. Each move was
Oh, that brings back memories. Dark Tower hit the market in '81 just as the Dungeons & Dragons craze was in full swing, and it plays to that theme perfectly. Each player is trying to build a band of adventurers to storm the central tower and defeat the evil forces within. That central tower is the unique feature of this game. It's a small battery-powered computer that can display backlit images, numbers, sounds, keep track of player inventory, create random encounters, resolve battles, all that stuff. It makes Dark Tower a unique blend of board game, role-playing game, and early computer game all in one. As big a hit as it was, Dark Tower had a short life due to a lawsuit that claimed the idea was stolen and a pretty steep price tag for the day. Combine that with the fragile moving parts in the tower, battery leak issues, and other ravages of time, and very few working copies of the original Dark Tower have survived. There was a Kickstarter for a reboot, but we're not going into that. Now, over 40 years later, working copies of Dark Tower go for hundreds of dollars on eBay. Oh look, this one's on sale. Whatever. We're going to make our own. Alright, the main part of this build is the tower itself, and as you can see, it's got the ability to display numbers, a picture, it has some input buttons, and it plays some sweet chip tunes. So it's off to my favorite store, Adafruit, to get some parts. I chose the Feather S2 microcontroller as the brains of the operation, a 320 by 240 LCD display for pictures, and a tiny amplified speaker for sound. Everything we need to display images, make sounds, program logic, all that biz. So let's get started tossing it together and see what we get. For the first test, we used the sample code and wiring diagram provided on the Adafruit website for the TFT display. I'll add a link to that in the description. Using the pin layout of the Feather S3 as a guide for which pins to hook the display up to, we should be able to get this thing up and running pretty quick. And in no time at all, we've got the sample code from Adafruit running, so we know everything's wired up correctly. After that, I add 3 small input buttons, a power switch, and the Adafruit speaker to round out the test rig. The image shown is just a sample mock-up I made, so I could see how images and text are going to look on this screen and start to think about what the layout might be. With a speaker and display in place, we can start to see how we'll shrink down this game. While the original used a stack of 3 rotating carousels to display images, 25 in all, it would only show one at a time. Rather than replicate that stack, we're going to use a single LCD to display the image, which saves a ton of space. Similarly, while the original had a grid of individual input buttons, we can display a menu of choices on the LCD and get away with just 3, up, down, and select. So overall, it looks like our tower can be much, much smaller. With that in mind, it's off to Tinkercad to design the case. Thankfully, someone has already modeled the original Dark Tower case as a dice tower and made it available for free on Thingiverse. Link in the description. Big thanks to Stink Evil for all the hard work. So after importing the model into Tinkercad, all I needed to do was hollow out the inside and start to add my own flourishes. Once I had a design I liked, I scaled it to fit around the size of a featherboard, making a knockout for the USB and power switch, and then making a similar knockout for the screen and 3 buttons in the front. Finally, knocked off the top and the back plate so that I have plenty of room to pack everything inside before putting it all together. I'll put a link to my final creation in the description in case you want to customize it further. Everything's printed and the parts are hot glued in place. It's a real rat's nest of wires inside because I'm working in a hurry. This is a gift and I need to get it in the mail. A quick power on test, make sure that the test image is showing and it looks like we're all ready to start programming the game. I chose to program the game in C++ using the Arduino libraries. Now, we're not going to go through the source code line by line. I think that would be a pretty dull video. A link to the full source code I've written is available in the description if you want to go have a look. If you're interested in more detailed coding videos, please let me know in the comments. I'd love to know how much interest there is in content like that. What we'll briefly go over here is how the content and game logic were put together. As usual, I'm taking advantage of a lot of great internet resources. First, the original game manual can be found online as a PDF file. This is our general guide for recreating the game rules and progression in code. Second, wellofsouls.com contains a ton of information about the game, as well as a link to a Java version written in 2002 by Michael Baumer. The author has done a lot of hard work here determining the odds for random events in the game and translating those into Java code. So when I wrote the C++ version, I used the Java code as a guide when calculating the odds for random game events. In addition, the Java author has already assembled all the images and sound files from the original game, so we can borrow those too. By the way, if you love the art style in this game as much as I do, you owe it to yourself to check out the work of the late Bob Pepper. I think his work is amazing and gives Dark Tower its unique style. For a little added authenticity, I also tracked down a font very similar to the one used in the original packaging and artwork. I converted this to a bitmap font so we can use it on the LCD screen. We can talk a little now about why I chose to build this project around the Feather S2. This board is built around an ESP32 S2 chip and features a 32-bit, 240 MHz processor, which is way more than enough for our needs. In addition, it has a whopping 16 megabytes of flash for storage and 8 megabytes of RAM. So for about $25 US, you get a board with tons of speed and storage. All this extra storage allows me to encode all the bitmaps, font characters, and audio files as binary data directly in the application. I simply convert them into hex data arrays and include the data right in the source code. This makes accessing and using the content simple, because you can skip all the file loading and decompression steps. It also means our game launches instantly without any data loading operations needed. Once we have helper code written to display images, list menu options, and play sounds on demand, all that's left is to code each game screen to move the player through the game step by step. With the code uploaded to the Feather S2, we can do a quick playtest. So let's go to a territory. We got attacked by a dragon on the first move. Takes 2 warriors and 7 gold. And then you would move the dragon to any open territory space. We gotta fight. 10 brigands. We lost the first round. It's 10-7. We'll fight again. 10-6. We're getting our butts kicked. Oh, we're hanging on. We got one last warrior. He's hanging on. Let's fight again. Nope. Butts kicked. Thoroughly kicked. We're out of battle. Or we're out of warriors. So the game has ended. So there it is, all finished. I had a local print shop print up a copy of the old game board where I cleaned up some of the graphics and added some of the pieces. There used to be little models of the sanctuary and the ruin and the bazaar and so forth that you would put on the board. I just put images on the board and labeled them so you can, with any kind of placeholder figure you want to use, you can move around the board and play the game on the tower. So there you have it, a fully functional mini reproduction of the Dark Tower board game using modern microcontrollers, C++, and a little 3D printing. This ended up being one of my longer videos, so thank you for watching. I'd love to hear your comments and Dark Tower memories in the comments down below. As always, please also click the like and subscribe buttons so I know folks are out there who want to see more projects like this. Of course, links to everything shown are also in the description below. Feel free to hit me up with questions on that stuff too. And I will see you on the next Makin' Stuff with Mighty Studios.